group of 24 business owners, labor contractors, and recruiters in South Georgia have been named in a federal indictment alleging that they participated in a years-long human trafficking ring that investigators equated to modern-day slavery. The defendants are accused of forcing Mexican and Central American migrant workers to dig for crops barehanded at gunpoint. They allegedly paid the laborers 20 cents per bucket of crops. According to the indictment, the laborers were forced to live in inhumane work camps surrounded by electrical fences and given little to no food. At least 2 of the workers died under the brutal working conditions. The documents also allege their migrants were repeatedly raped. As if that's not enough, the conspirators often sold and traded the 100+ workers amongst themselves. The construct of slavery may have been taking a new form, but stories such as these out of South Georgia are a stark reminder that slavery is still alive today. Joining us to discuss is Senior Lecturer of African American Studies at the University of Maryland, College Park, Dr. Jason Nichols. Dr. Nichols, I was just shocked by this story. How is this possible in 2021, and how, maybe I'm kind of living under a rock a little bit about this. How prevalent are stories like this?
Well, from what I've been reading, that this is not the only case of this, and of course this is a crime against humanity, trading in human beings, having them live in squalor and raw sewage without access to potable water or food, surrounded by electrical wire and being systematically raped, as you pointed out, which was very analogous to what happened to our ancestors. And also having them, as you said, pick onions with their bare hands for pennies, when in fact an H-2A visa entitles you to the federal minimum wage in most cases. But I think the important thing to remember here is that this was only uncovered because of a shift in immigration enforcement and targeting exploitative employers rather than targeting unauthorized immigrants themselves. And I think that's the importance of having someone like Secretary Mayorkas, Alejandro Mayorkas, who is an immigrant himself, and rather than having someone like, say, Kirsten Nielsen, who was in favor of ripping babies from their mother's arms. So representation matters, and this change of enforcement, I think, was really important.
Explain to us what that change of enforcement means on the ground. Why would that change mean that this would be uncovered while, operating the way that the agency used to operate, it would not have been uncovered?
Well, because they're looking for exploitative employers, people who are, employing undocumented people rather than just having raids and rounding up people in ice trucks the way they did many years ago. And actually in the last administration, their goal was to gather up as many undocumented people and to deport them. And this administration is aimed at getting people who exploit those undocumented people and to punish them. And that's what we're seeing here in South Georgia. It's also happened in California and in Coachella, ironically enough, and in many other places around the country. These sorts of things are happening. And in this particular case in South Georgia, I believe they made $200 million off of this scheme. So this is, one of the worst cases of exploitation that we've seen in the last couple of years. And what we need to do, I don't want to be a cheerleader for the Biden administration. I just want to say that even though that there was a good change here, we need comprehensive immigration reform that looks at these visas and can actually stop some of this exploitation before it actually happens.
So what are the red flags here? Is this, we know this person came across the border for some reason. Where are they? Is this inspectors showing up at the farm and saying, your numbers don't look right? Is this the IRS saying, how are you making, millions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars, but we don't see outlays for employees? So where's that money? Who's making the money? Who's doing the work? So where do the red flags pop up that people can trace?
I think it's all of it. I think there are many channels where you can find something out like this. Of course, showing up and seeing what's happening on the ground is really important, because people can misreport things to the IRS. That happens every day. Even regular citizens do that. But I think that showing up, seeing the conditions that people are working under, making sure everything is on the up and up, particularly when you're using a whole lot of people who hold H-2A visas. I think it's important to inspect things. We inspect, places where our food is made. We inspect restaurants. We inspect all kinds of institutions. Why wouldn't we inspect some of these farms to make sure that people are living under good conditions? And the other thing is that I didn't mention is that the people who are living on these farms were made to pay actually to live there. So in many cases, they were probably ending up, it was kind of like a sharecropping situation where they actually were ending up in debt because they were actually paying to live and be fed under these terrible conditions.
And I have less than a minute here, but is there legal recourse for these people, many of whom may not be citizens, but can they be made whole or sue in any way for being treated, victimized, I would say, in this way?
I certainly believe so. I think that there are many immigrant rights organizations that are probably working on suing those people, the people who are involved, and suing on behalf of people who are exploited by these employers around the country. There are lots of organizations,
Right.
like here in the state of Maryland, we have an organization called CASA that does that kind of work, and I think that hopefully that will happen.
Jason Nichols, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Appreciate